Well, apparently we're neither smart nor funny, according to anonymous user 293755554.
Yeah, who doesn't have a face.
Yo, yeah.
Yeah. No, some people, that's all they do is just go on, just basically berating everyone who's...
Yeah, well, Jordan Peterson was talking about that the other day, the anonymity of people online.
Sure.
Basically, all the psychopaths come out.
Yeah.
Because the thing about psychopaths is that they have to go from... They basically, in real life, travel from place to place, leaving havoc in their wake.
Yeah.
And they have to, because once people identify them, they become ostracized.
Oh, their cover is blown.
Yeah. So that's why they travel. But when you're online, if you just have an anonymous account, you can just do whatever you want. You can even make a new account if you need to.
That's been done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically adminning all these groups for decades online on Yahoo groups and Facebook and all that. You have all these people, these marauders who just go around. I block them out. I turn them out.
Not to mention all these accounts that aren't even real now. They're just bots.
They're not even real. I know.
And they're advanced too. They're AI. They're AI agents. So they'll say things, and you'll look at their post, and they actually make sense. They're not. They're not just like it used to be. Like somebody's account would get hacked on Facebook, and all of a sudden it'd be like 1,000 shares for like cheap Ray-Ban sunglasses from some drop. It's like it's fake.
Oh yeah.
But now it's like, oh my god, this actually looks like a real person. They're speaking like almost like a real person, but it's an AI. It's a bot.
Well, at first, like 10 years ago, or maybe even longer, I would get all these people who'd want to be my friend, or they'd want to join one of my groups or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're all like very young, attractive Japanese and Chinese girls with wearing bikini tops and whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, they're not real. I mean, I thought they were real. I thought they were real people. I thought, but that they're just like, going to try to, I don't know, like cyber prostitutes or something.
Yeah.
I didn't know. But now I realize, maybe it wasn't true then, but now it's true. They're not even real people.
No, it's just like some Indian guy running 1,000 of these accounts or something.
It's crazy.
Seriously, that's probably what it is.
But you can imagine people probably engage with them and get into conversations.
Some people do.
They never contact me, though. They want to be my friend. They want to join the group. I have approved them to see what would happen.
Yeah.
And they never say boo.
I think they feel people out. They see what people fall for, and they try and get a lead. And
occasionally I'll get one. I'll get one that will send me a direct message.
Yeah.
I'll get DM like, hey, how are you? What's going on in your part of the world? Or
I get a lot on X.
Really?
Yeah, X has a lot of bots, a lot of AI agents on X.
It's a problem.
And they'll like my posts. And I'm like I'll look at a post, maybe I'll get like 6 likes or something. And I look at 3 of the different likes.
Yeah.
They're all fake women.
Yeah.
You could just tell, because no beautiful women are just like posting their picture on X and saying, oh, hope everybody has a wonderful day today.
Right.
This is not a real
Well, now
person.
they can be AI.
Yeah.
Before AI images, now, I mean, before it was like, wait a minute, this is actually probably someone who exists somewhere. Their face and likeness has been lifted.
Right.
So like if you're an attractive young female, some guy will just like grab your image somewhere and go be you somewhere.
And sometimes like flip it.
It's crazy.
They'll do things like flip it and distort it a little bit. Yeah. Just so you can't trace it. Because you can do reverse image searches on things.
You're right.
And find
Exactly.
things. So they'll change it a little bit to try and fool the system. That actually goes to something that is happening now that's on my mind that I was going to ask you about.
Sure.
Which is ActBlue.
ActBlue.
So now we're getting into politics.
Speaking of fake stuff.
Yeah. So do you know about the ActBlue situation? Have you been following it the past?
Well, I know what ActBlue is, but I don't.
So for people who don't, ActBlue is like it's basically Democrats' PayPal is what it is.
Right.
Okay.
Where they can make contributions.
It itself is a PAC, a political action committee.
Sure.
But they're not collecting money and then like distributing it the way a PAC does, spending it the way a PAC does. What they're doing is they're an electric payment processing system. That's why I'm saying it's like PayPal.
Right.
So, and then they'll process payments on behalf of different campaigns and things like that.
Now, most people know what a PAC is, right? A PAC is basically a way to bypass election laws and
super PAC, especially.
A super PAC, especially because a super PAC lets like Zuckerberg put in $100 million.
It really.
You know why? Because it's not going directly to the candidate. It's going to the various functions.
Yeah, the candidate's not even allowed to communicate with the super PAC, actually.
Right.
But yeah, so ActBlue exists, and they're basically this.
So, well, explain it. Is ActBlue an app? Is it a website? It's a website.
It's a payment processing system.
Okay.
They process
like
payments.
PayPal,
like PayPal. Exactly.
Right, okay.
Except they only do Democrat initiatives.
So it's just it sounds like an electronic PAC.
No, but a PAC spends money. They're not the ones spending the money necessarily. They're processing payments, and then the payment goes to whoever the donation's for. But it's always a democratic initiative.
Cause, yeah. Right.
So, but what's happening is first of all, they weren't taking CVV numbers, which are the little 3 digits on the back of the credit card.
Right.
So for a while, you could just put in a credit card number without the security code, and it would process the payment.
I see.
And apparently, it's not illegal to do it that way, but it is definitely considered like kind of suspicious. It's like a little scammy. It's like, why don't they need my security? It's people doing
I've had
things
that happen with my credit card though.
Where they don't require it
with legitimate companies,
yeah. So they don't need to, but it is considered like if you're doing things on the up and up, you should probably require
it's more secure.
Yeah. So then what people realized is you can go through all the donation information. All political donations are recorded by the FEC, Federal Elections Commission, and they're public. They get made public like 6 or 8 months after it happens, right? So
you can get a list of who has donated,
who and when. And what people did is they went on how many times. What they did, people went on and looked at election donations for certain people,
right?
And it would be like 1,000 contributions in 1 year or something like that.
From one person?
Yeah, from one person, like all the ActBlue, something all through ActBlue.
Okay.
And so here's, so people started looking into that. And then about a year ago, James O'Keefe, who's an investigative journalist, he started looking into it. And he did a video on it. So I'll just show you a clip of that video.
Okay.
So here's an example. There are lots of people just like this.
I want to see a scar on his fucking head. No, stop fucking.
That was the last guy.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa. Cindy No of Annapolis, Maryland, who in the year 2022 allegedly contributed over 1,000 times to ActBlue, totaling $18,849.
Okay, so 1,000 times in 1 year,
right.
$18,000 total.
From one person?
In 1 year, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's watch.
And 77 cents. That means Cindy would have had to donate 3 times a day, every day,
that's
for
crazy.
the whole year.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So they visit her.
Hello? Hey there, Cindy. My name's James O'Keefe, and we're doing a story on the number of people that have donated with your address. Did you donate to ActBlue, a political cause? How many times a month do you donate to ActBlue?
I don't know. I don't know how many times. I don't understand why I'm getting this.
This poor woman.
Well, the question is, you did donate to ActBlue, right?
Yes, once in a while, yes.
Did you donate 1,009 times?
I don't know. I mean, I may once in a while I donate $5 or so dollars or something like that during election year.
What about $18,850?
I doubt that.
Not that many donations.
Okay,
No.
So 2 things about that. 1, she doesn't think she donated that much.
Yeah.
2, she doesn't think she donated that many times.
Right.
But I will say, every single video I've seen where they approach people who have this donation record, the people never outright deny it. Only occasionally do they outright deny. It's like, whoa, that's impossible. That could never be. A lot of times it's like, did you donate 1,000 times to ActBlue? They say, well, I don't think so. Like if you asked me if I donated 1,000 times to like Donald Trump for president or something like that, I would say, no, of course I didn't do that. But they ask these people, did you donate 1,000 times? Like, why isn't her answer
That's ridiculous.
a total no off the bat? Like, absolutely not. That's crazy.
So you so it would be like maybe she knows something.
No, I think maybe she doesn't really know, but she knows it's possible. So, like, I think a lot of people don't keep track of their finances.
Oh.
And there are a few things that go on. One, these donation platforms try and get you to make recurring payments, set up recurring payments, so it'll just
like
happen automatically.
Or something.
Yeah. 2, they always try and get you to add on. I mean, you've been through that process. They like 3 or 4 times in a row, they're like, would you like to add another $2 to account for the processing cost? And then like, would you add another $5 to be labeled, to get a pin that says you are a super patriot?
Yeah.
Like another 47 cents in honor of the 47th president.
Right.
So they do these things, and I don't know, maybe those all count as separate donations.
So someone is clicking through this funnel, this
they're just going
funnel.
Right. It's just like this disgustingly gratuitous donation funnel. So I think people get trapped in that.
Okay.
But I will say,
well, I've been trapped in these things. Maybe it's 1,000 times.
Now, if you were clever, if you were like a really clever scammer,
yeah,
and I get it's not a scam on her because it's if somebody is using her name,
right,
they're not using her money. They're just using her name in order to contribute money that probably shouldn't be legal. Is what they're doing.
Are they using her credit card number?
No. So, well, if they're legitimately her donations, then yeah, obviously it's her info. But no, what people do is they just use the person's name, and then they contribute their own money. But it's in order to get around election laws that would prevent them from contributing. So it might be an entity that just isn't allowed to contribute. It could be like a foreign government trying to contribute. They did find their own ActBlue's own internal documents showed they detected like almost 300 prepaid credit cards from foreign IP addresses getting used in a certain period of time. Right. So if I were smart, well, I hope I'm
if you were smart,
if I were
there we go. Now we're lost.
If I was one of these guys trying to contribute money that's not legal to election campaigns and influence elections, I would pick names of donors who do contribute a lot of money.
Yeah.
And try and hide it that way.
Right.
So I would definitely pick somebody like her who is a big contributor and contributes many, many times a year, and I would try and just get a few contributions in that way. So
this could be
someone less detectable. I would never pick somebody who like donates once a year.
Yeah. So if this is someone who conceivably, I might have clicked through that process maybe 50, 100 times over a period of a year.
Right. They would never say, they would say they're not sure. They would never say outright, absolutely not. They would say, I don't know, I donate a lot. I hope it's not that much, but could be, Wow. And there are people who donate that much, which is crazy. Yeah. So, but again, 3 times a day.
Okay, but is this person limited to the regular FEC laws, rules, whatever you want to call them? Like it's like the $3,500 or $3,300 limit,
honestly,
or whatever the heck it is.
I don't understand it. I don't.
But what about
understand
WinRed?
WinRed is the
same thing.
Is the Republican version, right? They got some weird stuff too.
So they as corrupt as this? I mean,
I doubt they are. But so this is what they found out, right? And then so I'm watching this, and I've been following this for like a year, just seeing little stories like this. And hold on, let me figure out how to close this. So then, all of a sudden, some big news happens in the past few months. One, Donald Trump just a few days ago, he wrote a memorandum instructing the Attorney General to investigate ActBlue, investigate exactly this.
Okay. And
say, look for what they're calling them are straw donors or dummy donors.
Yeah, right.
So basically just faking people's accounts.
Right.
Faking people's names. And what happened a few months ago is ActBlue, New York Times did a story on ActBlue. This was back in like March, I think. It might have been February, where apparently just recently, like 7 different top officials all resigned at the same time for ActBlue.
Okay.
So like all their top employees are fleeing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Donald Trump launches this investigation into them or announces that he wants one. And then they got one guy there who's the last lawyer at ActBlue. Like they've either fired all their lawyers or they all resigned. There's one guy left, and all of a sudden he's locked out of all this stuff. And he makes a quote, something about being a whistleblower, like he might be a whistleblower or something like that. And he gets locked out and put on leave. He's done. He can't access anything anymore. So they got something weird going on internally. And they got employees asking questions. They got union groups coming and say, hey, what's going on? Is everything legit here? Why is everybody resigning? But I don't know. So we don't know anything. And none of the officials that resigned will reveal why they resigned. None of them will do interviews. They're all totally radio silent.
Wow.
So
this is all recent. This is
all within the past month or two.
This is all the organization exploding or imploding or whatever.
It's imploding. Yeah. Something's going on inside. They are all fleeing the ship.
It'll come out.
So what is your opinion, just hearing that, having dealt with I don't know, businesses before and been involved with, what does it mean when like everybody's just like running?
It usually means they're basically leaving and lawyering up
because they know something's coming.
Yeah,
because they know something's been going on.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
They know something nefarious is being hidden.
Yeah, they're prepared.
It's going to be found.
They know they're going to get called in and they're going to have to testify. And they're going to have to implicate somebody else.
Right.
They could be communicating with each other and coordinating this.
Yeah.
They could be one single law firm that's handling all of them. Independent lawyers, though.
Right.
So I mean, I'm speculating, but who knows?
Something weird.
Something weird's going on.
Something weird.
Yeah. So WinRed this doesn't happen with WinRed?
I don't know.
Isn't it the same thing? I mean,
WinRed is the Republican version, right?
Yeah.
And they started much later than ActBlue did. ActBlue was way ahead of the game with the payment, with the like electronic payment processing, and that's why Democrats. One of the reasons they're so good at collecting money, and they're so good at door knocking and ballot chasing, as they call it. They got all that infrastructure laid down way before Republicans did.
Yeah.
I think WinRed isn't as questionable as ActBlue, but there is some weird stuff with them too.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
All right.
So
that's what's going on with that. So I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
And see what's going. I don't know. You know, everything political always turns so nefarious all the time. It's just like it's enough to make.
Oh yeah.
That's why I'm not I would never be a politician. I would never.
Because there's power and money involved.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, that's why they get involved.
Yeah.
You know, power and money. I mean, you look at AOC. AOC all of a sudden comes out of nowhere, right? And all of a sudden, you know, it's like, what's her net worth now? Suddenly, I don't know.
I don't know.
I bet it's a lot.
I don't know. Let's look.
Look it up. I mean, she was broke, and suddenly she's this.
Was she like a bartender? Right.
Yeah, she was a bartender.
Let's see.
Born in the Bronx and born in the Bronx, but raised in Yorktown Heights.
Yeah, she didn't even grow up in the Bronx, right?
Mm-hmm. Yorktown Heights. Yorktown Heights is a nice place. Yorktown Heights is. I
don't know. When she tells her story,
Westchester County.
She acts kind of like she grew up impoverished.
Yeah,
so.
well, there was that whole thing about her phony apartment in Parkchester. Remember?
No. What is it?
Oh, it's it's a couple of years ago now. When she first came on the scene, she was shown. I think she did. She did. I don't know. She might have done some selfies or something from some. I'm kind of speaking out of school now, but there was like pictures of a Parkchester apartment where she grew up, and it's not possible.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not getting real answers for this.
Right.
Probably because I'm using Google.
Yeah.
Ugh. Duck. I'm gonna do DuckDuckGo.
Use ChatGPT now. That's going to be the search engine.
Yeah. True. Or Grok. I like Grok sometimes. Yeah. Grok is too wordy for me. I wish it would.
Too smart?
It needs to get better at succinctly conveying information. It just spits out a big word salad too much. I want bullet points. I want bold font on the things that matter. I need to be able to skim it like a one-sheeter.
Sure.
You know, it takes too long to synthesize the information.
Well, you can tell it to do that, I'm sure.
You can, but it doesn't really have memory, so it's like every time I have to be like, hey, don't be so long-winded. It's like every single time I have to say that.
Well, you don't have to talk to it like that.
Estimated to be $500,000.
I don't. Well, first of all, that's a lot for somebody out of nowhere, but I'll bet it's more than that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I've always said I think they're going to they'll be prepping her for the White House. I'm telling you.
Yeah, she's acting like she's.
And
running.
now they're talking about it. I mean, well, that's crazy. Somebody said she'll run with Bernie, but Bernie.
Oh man,
no, that can't be. Bernie,
nah.
You know how old that guy is?
Yeah, Bernie's.
How old is he?
He's in his 80s, right?
Yeah, he's going to be what? He'll be. We'll have a 90-year-old president. If
Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders gets in line when he's told to. he doesn't act right.
He's not gonna.
No.
All right. I wanted to tell you about when I went to the dentist the other day, a couple of days ago.
Okay.
Got my teeth cleaned.
Okay.
Hope they're clean for the camera.
Okay. I don't know. Hope so. Take a bit of a gamble.
I took a gamble right there. Some little, piece of spinach or something. Well, I didn't have any for lunch, though. So I went to the dentist, and it was interesting because I got a cleaning, and I love the cleanings. That I go every 4 months, I think, for a cleaning.
Okay.
Yeah, and she does that process that I told you about. Actually, you had it done once. You have your own dental plan.
Yeah.
But you went to my hygienist once to get that special cleaning that she does that I like, and she does that. I don't know what it's called, but it's like baking soda.
I don't know. She uses some giant machine.
Yeah, it's sand blast.
Yeah, she buffs your teeth with it.
Well, it's sand. It's sort of like it's high pressure, like a high pressure water. Like what do you call it? Like a high pressure hose. It's not a hose, but
yeah. Right, a pressure.
Yeah, it's abrasion, some kind of abrasion, I guess, and it polishes and it cleans everything with baking soda. It makes it really good.
Right.
Anyway, your teeth.
Oh my God. When she used that on me, she didn't have any flavor. She said she was out of the flavors.
Oh, she never uses the flavor with me.
So she just used, it was just straight up baking soda in my mouth.
That's the way it is all the time.
It was like torture.
No, I'm telling you, the first time when I went,
and it went everywhere too. It was like all over my face and all over my shirt.
When they first got that machine, she was the only one qualified to use it in this practice.
Yeah.
So she wanted to like try it out on me.
Yeah.
And I said, "Have you ever used it before?" She said, "Well, I practiced." So I said, "Well, so you're going to be practicing on me?" She goes, "A little bit." I said, "Well, I'll try it." So I'm sitting there, and she explained to me what it is. I said, "All right," and she starts it up, and it's like it's like crazy, salty.
Oh yeah, well, it's baking soda.
Baking soda.
It's baking soda.
But it was very, very minty. So it sort of counterbalanced it.
Yeah.
You know? And so I didn't think it was that. She said that she heard that, you know, it bothers some people. It didn't bother me. It's very uncomfortable. There's a lot of water, but it didn't taste so bad. The next time I went, there was absolutely no flavor whatsoever.
Yeah.
I said, that is terrible.
Right.
It's like, it's just awful.
That's how I had it.
I mean, it's like, I was going to say like licking a pretzel, but it's worse.
No, it's way worse.
It's like, because it's just like sitting there biting you, you know?
Yeah.
But it comes out, anyway, enough of that. So it comes out really good. And then she always talks to me about fluoride. And I tell her
She's pro fluoride.
Oh yeah, very pro. The whole practice is very pro fluoride.
Most dentists are, yeah.
Yeah. And I said, no, I don't use fluoride. She said, well, what kind of toothpaste do you use? I said, well, I don't use toothpaste. She's like, what do you mean you don't use toothpaste?
Great.
I said, I don't use any toothpaste. She said, what do you use? I said, I use water. She said, that's it? I said, yeah, that's it. She goes, oh, it's got, I don't know. You know, I said, hey, listen, I grew up in New York City with total fluorinated water.
Yeah.
Like my whole life. So this stuff has been systemically pumped through my body most of my life until I was 40 years old.
Yeah.
When I moved out of New York. And so I'm like, yeah, I don't want any more fluoride. I just don't. She goes, well, you're going to get cavities, you know, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, you know, and she cites some studies. And I wasn't going to, first of all, I can't cite the studies that show that it's bad for you. I mean, I'm a little bit read up on it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just don't want the fluoride in my system. I don't want it systemically. She says, well, you don't have to apply it systemically. You have to have a fluorinated mouthwash.
Yeah.
She said, what kind of mouthwash do you use? I said, I don't use mouthwash. She said, none? I said, no. I said, I used to use a non-alcoholic mouthwash because I don't want alcohol in my system at all. Mm-hmm. And she said, well, I'm going to give you this and you can use this. This is safe. So she gives me this thing. And I said, well, what's in it? And she says something, blah, blah, blah. And I hear the word chlorine in the, you know, the configuration of chemicals that are in it. And I said, well, I don't want chlorine in my system either. And she's like, it's very small amounts. And I'm like, I don't want small amounts of fluoride. I don't want small amounts. Of course, fluoride is, it's basically industrial waste. Did you know that?
No.
Did you know where they get, there's not some dental lab, you know, formulating fluoride.
Okay.
It's basically, it's a byproduct of fertilizer manufacturing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know, maybe she could apply it topically. That would be okay. That's still going to absorb into your system.
Yeah.
Even that way. And it doesn't get rid of cavities. It doesn't reverse cavities.
Okay.
It doesn't really even prevent cavities.
Really?
No. Basically how it works is, and I'm sure a chemist and a dentist can explain it better, but it basically changes the pH of the enamel on your teeth because your cavities are formed by bad pH, acid.
Okay.
Right. And the acid eats away, I guess, or actually the acid produces an environment where the microfilm, the bacteria, basically digests sugar. That's why sugar is not good for you. That's why you get cavities from sugar. And the waste from this generates acid, and that eats away at the enamel. So the fluoride equalizes that in the enamel, and it doesn't really get rid of the process of this deterioration of the enamel, which forms cavities, but it slows it down to the point where, you know, you're able to, your natural remineralization can actually work. You know, your calcium and your magnesium and all that stuff. So it slows it down to the point where your body is actually fixing cavities as you go along. And that slows it down. I think that if you are nutritionally sound, you really shouldn't need that. And if you're not eating too much sugar, carbs, I guess, too, because that turns into sugar in your mouth. You should be okay. That's how I prefer to do it. So anyway, this one visit a couple of days ago, I also have to get a checkup. So she calls in the dentist.
Yeah.
And he comes in, he's poking around. He's a nice guy. I like him. And he's from New Jersey. And he says, you got one cavity here. And then I hear them murmuring to each other. So she's like...
She's telling on you.
She's telling on me. She said, he's one of those guys. He's one of those fluorine freaks or non-fluorine freaks.
Fluoride,
Fluoride. He says, so you don't like fluoride? I said, no. He said, why not? I said, because it's bad for you. So he says, well, and I didn't get into it.
Yeah.
Because I have my reasons, And
but also, you're not going to be able to argue with a dentist.
No, how am I going to argue with a dentist?
That's just a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, I already tried that with the cholesterol with my primary care physician. He cites us, studies show blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And so I said, look, doctor, I just don't want it. He goes, well, then now you got a cavity. I said, I do. He says, yeah, you got a cavity, and pokes around and shows me where it is. And he said, and he's insinuating that I've given it to myself because I don't let them give me fluoride.
Right.
Right. So I set an appointment to get it filled, but I don't want the filling either. I'm going to test them on the filling because I don't want BPA in my filling either.
Yeah.
I want the right kind of filling. So we'll see what happens. But the thing is, it doesn't really prevent it, and I think that you can actually prevent decay with good nutrition.
So why don't you use any toothpaste at all? I mean, most people would just say that's insane.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't use any toothpaste. I will use occasionally. I will use a little hydrogen peroxide and baking powder.
Okay.
I'll do that a couple of times.
Baking powder?
I mean baking soda.
Okay.
Yeah, baking powder wouldn't work.
Okay, hydrogen peroxide and baking soda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I put a little bit on my toothbrush and I don't do that. Whatever's going on metabolically because I'm not eating, I'm technically fasting in the mornings. I want that to happen.
Okay.
Cumulatively. I'm not doing any, I'll fast.
I get it.
I'll do a 24 or 48 hour fast once in a while. Yes, of course. But every day I want that autophagy process cumulatively taking part, happening in my body. And so if I take toothpaste, that is going to spike my insulin.
You think so?
I know so.
Okay.
Yeah, they're real purists that say you can't even smell food because it'll spike your insulin.
Yeah.
So I don't want that happening. I want that happening the least amount of times possible, and I don't want it happening in the mornings. I will then brush my teeth later on in the day. I don't want to use. By then, my breath is fine. I don't need toothpaste.
Well, I mean, as somebody who is around you, your breath isn't particularly bad.
It's not especially good either.
Well, nobody's breath is especially good, but I'm just saying for someone who apparently doesn't use toothpaste, it's not that bad.
Well, what I did was since this visit, I went to Whole Foods and I bought some xylitol toothpaste.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Xylitol is supposed to actually help repair cavities.
Ah.
It doesn't do just like fluoride. It doesn't actually directly do it, but it changes the pH and it changes how your body, because the bacteria that normally would eat sugar and then wreck your teeth will eat xylitol, and then it runs into a dead end. It's not really sugar.
Huh. So what's the thing with fluoride? I know Bobby Kennedy doesn't like it, right? Didn't they just stop putting fluoride in water? Didn't Bobby Kennedy just order that?
Oh, I don't know what's going on with that.
He did.
Hopefully, yeah.
I think he did.
Yeah, it's really bad.
I forget why it's bad, though.
We don't have it here where we live.
Why doesn't he like fluoride?
Probably for the reasons that I gave.
Why don't you like fluoride?
I told you.
What is it?
Oh, I didn't tell you.
No, you didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, there are studies, and it's all done on mice, but there are studies that I know, but it all starts with mice, right? And the mice exhibit who are given fluoride exhibit cognitive decline.
Oh yeah,
and Alzheimer's.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Because there's this protein. It's amylase. I forget what it's called. Amylase precursor protein, APP.
Okay.
And that is a precursor to amylase plaque forming in your brain because the fluoride actually gets into your brain. It goes. Yeah.
Okay.
You're looking that up? You're gonna fact check me on that?
No, I think I've heard people talk about fluoride and IQ. I think that's what it is, which it would go to what you're saying. It's associated with lower IQ.
Right.
Interesting.
But also in my business, I'm also concerned about the pineal gland. The pineal gland It has been documented that the pineal gland calcifies and actually becomes hardened by fluoride. They've detected that too. And there are reasons why I want my pineal gland to be supple and squishy and working. I don't want it crystallizing.
Yes.
Because it has to do with meditation. It has to do with the light transmissions with inside of your head. And I don't want that affected. I want to go into the physiology there. There is a mixture of physiology and spirituality. Yeah. I don't want to go into that in this podcast.
Who thought the pineal gland was like the home of your soul? There was a philosopher who thought that. I think.
Something about.
I
can't think of his name right now.
Pineal gland.
Descartes.
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, I think it was him.
Rene Descartes. I can never say his name. How do you say his name?
I don't know.
I wish I spoke French sometimes.
I feel like I'm always saying it wrong.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. Principal seat of the soul. Interesting.
Yeah, that's what he says. Well, the reason, and they've even found out that the structure of that gland, it's very tiny. The structure of it it's photosensitive, believe it or not. So inside of your head, when you meditate, you see lights, that you are perceiving the lights through the pineal gland.
Interesting. I know that some animals, their pineal gland is actually on the surface.
Oh yeah,
right.
There were this. Yeah, there's like a lizard or something.
Yeah. So his pineal and the pineal gland is photosensitive.
Right. So they have like an eye on top of their head or something, or it's not actually an eye, but I think it's some sort of.
But it's photosensitive.
It is.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. The pineal gland also produces melatonin, and that has to do with the I would say circadian rhythm, the circadian rhythm, which controls your sleep cycles.
Right.
So it actually has a lot to do with that.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want to. I don't want to go too deep into that right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want that being messed with. And fluoride calcifies it it calcifies normally as you get older anyway.
Yeah.
But if you have fluoride systemically in your body, it goes direct, because the pineal gland, even though it's in your head, it actually bypasses the blood-brain barrier. The blood-brain barrier does not protect the pineal gland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The rest of your brain it does, but the gland is not your brain. It's up in your head.
No, but it's like, isn't it in your brain basically?
It's in there, yeah. But I think we should probably double check that.
It's part of your brain.
It's part of your brain, but I'm pretty
maybe not.
I'm pretty sure you're not going to be. But anyway, even if it were or wasn't, it doesn't matter, because it's getting into the rest of your brain too.
Yeah.
So
yes, it is. It's located in the brain. I was asking if it's part of the brain. Like, do they count? I think they do. It's like so far in there.
When you are meditating, for yourself, you're looking inside of your head and you're stimulating the center of your head. That's actually your pineal gland. You're actually feeling the tingling inside of your pineal gland. You're stimulating it.
If you say so. It's pretty far back too, by the way.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm going to see what happens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use xylitol, and I'm going to make sure that my remineralization process is all intact dietarily.
So you're going to repair your cavity?
I'm going to repair my cavity myself.
And you're going to show them all?
I'm going to get some Bondo, and I'm going to
you're going to show them all at the dentist's office?
I'm going to show them. No, we'll see what. Listen, if it's still there, if I don't do anything, I'm going to let him fill it. If he puts the right kind in.
You're going to show up and your pineal gland will be glowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
We were talking about the orans, orans. What's the pronunciation?
Orans. Sometimes orant or orant, maybe.
Orant.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a Latin word, so.
It is a Latin
Orans pose, yeah.
Yeah, orans pose.
Posture like this.
Right, like that. Orans, it actually comes from the word, I looked it up because we were talking about it last time, the origins of that word, and it comes from, I didn't know how to pronounce it, but it comes from orate, speak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it basically means prayer pose.
Orare.
Speak or prayer.
Well, that's what it means. That's what it's come to mean. It has come to mean prayer. It has come to mean beseeching God and raising your hands to God and all that sort of stuff.
Holy hands, right.
That's what it's come to be. That's not what it started as. That's a misinterpretation. A lot of people misinterpret what that is, especially not understanding the origins of it.
Oh, okay.
Because they look at basically how the churches have evolved it originally from where they originally saw it. Okay. And it's been seen in, as you know, it comes from the Christian catacombs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we have record of drawings from the catacombs. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. We have those. what do they call them?
But it was already at that point a thing.
It was a thing, yeah, but nobody was alive. Well, nobody's alive watching them do it. They're looking at depictions in the catacombs, and they just suppose what it is. But just like everything else, what religions do is they take something original and they sort of evolve it for their own reasons, for their own things.
Sure,
okay?
I mean, yeah, that happens.
But they don't know what those guys and women, by the way, too.
Well, the thing is, things are passed down by word of mouth.
Right.
Especially back then. It's too long ago. We don't have any written record of a lot of that stuff.
Right.
So, I mean, if things are being passed down and we just have evidence of that, we have testament of that in the drawings, that could be it too. So you're implying that people saw the drawings and then invented a new meaning. But what I'm saying is also possible is the drawings are just evidence that this is a tradition that's being passed down.
Okay.
Get what I'm saying?
No.
Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, you're speaking to the evolution, but it had an original thing. I don't even like the word orange because when you take a word, you apply it to something.
Yeah.
Then you're able to define it and to say what it is and what you mean by it, but it may not be exactly what you've seen.
Right.
So if you look at the original pictures from the catacombs that they painted, frescoes, I guess. What is a fresco again?
A fresco, it's they used to paint on like a freshly made wall or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I'm not a painter. I don't know. Okay, but that's why it's called a fresco. Yeah.
Okay, probably for artistic reasons because when you put paint on something wet, it kind of melts.
Maybe
doesn't make defined lines. Actually, they look pretty cool. But if you look at those pictures, what you'll see the originally what it looked like. And see, the thing is this: what they were doing, those were not just random people just going like this, or they weren't priests or ministers or anything like that. They didn't have any of that.
Okay.
These were holy men, so
right.
to speak. These were men, these were God-conscious, holy men who were connected with the Creator.
Okay.
And they were filled with they call it now filled with the Holy Spirit. So here's the thing. When you, I'm going back to the meditation again. When you meditate, you have energy within your body, right? And this comes, you go like this, and you put your hands together, and you could feel that energy going from one set of hands to the other, sort of exchanging from your across your fingers, right? That is within you. That's an energy that's within you, and that fills you. You are filled with the Holy Spirit, as they say.
Okay.
What you can do, you are now you are the receiver of God's blessing at that point. That's consciousness, God consciousness, what I call God consciousness, right? And what you can do is you are, in that moment, when you are awake, when you are aware, when you are God conscious, you are sinless.
Okay.
You have no anger. You have no fear. You only are filled with God's grace and love. And you're not sitting there going, fill me, God. Do it. Do it. You're not asking God anything. You've already accepted him into you.
Yeah.
And what those guys were doing back then, I say guys, but there were women too, right? One of the catacombs is actually named after
Priscilla.
Priscilla. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to get a picture of it?
Yeah, actually, I have one on 37. Just look at it again.
Sure.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's supposed to be. Who is that?
I don't know who it is.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But and he's got an audience or a flock or whatever. He is projecting what's already in him to other people.
Okay.
See, when people meditate, when people pray, they go like this. If you're new to it, it's hard to do. I mean, it's simple. That's why it's hard to do, because it's too simple.
And we are very willful people.
When we are very willful people.
Yeah.
So if I were to become filled with the Holy Spirit and I wanted to sort of jumpstart you a little bit, I could actually. It's an act of graciousness. Okay. That I am actually opening up and I am projecting God's love to you if you're willing to receive it. Now, if I'm just some guy go like this, nothing's going to happen to you. But if I'm filled with God's love and I'm filled with grace and that energy, this will help you out.
Now, I'm not saying I'm not disagreeing with you, but what I will say is I could definitely imagine somebody doing this nefariously and like starting a cult even
Yeah.
Because you can hypnotize people too.
Yeah.
And you can say, I'm filling you with the Holy Spirit.
I know, but that's not what,
thing.
no.
And then, yes, and you must follow me. And,
I know, but that's not what they were doing.
Yeah.
They were actually, it was an act of spiritual generosity. They were helping them find their own way, find their own energy. Mm-hmm. Okay. And sort of, as I say, I use the term jumpstart, but sort of getting them going that way. And, it's a transmission. It's a transmission of love, a transmission of energy to other people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you by suggesting that. I'm not suggesting that. What I'm saying is I see bad people do very similar things.
Well, they do it.
That on the surface definitely look comparable.
Right.
And start basically cults and start
so
malevolent
what they
movements.
started to teach people to do is to like go like this and receive the Lord and receive God and receive his blessings. And you have churches today raising their hands to praise Jesus, raise your hands in the air. And all.
Yeah.
That's not going to do anything.
Well, I think where they get that from is that that one verse in the Bible that's like, let me, do you mind if I get it?
No, go ahead.
Let me see if I can find it here.
Okay.
Yeah. This is Timothy 2:8. Okay. Therefore, I want the men everywhere to pray, lifting up holy hands without anger or dissension.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where a lot of these churches, a lot of these denominations get this whole like holy hands thing.
Going that, I know, but
they say every man lift up their hands.
All right. Well, I will tell you something that's happened to me many times. When I'm meditating, I will be going like this, and I will just naturally raise my hands.
Really?
Yes. My hands just naturally go like this, and I find myself doing it.
I don't think that's ever happened to me.
Like that. It's happened to me many times.
Oh, man. I need to level up.
You better keep meditating.
Just for anybody listening, that's a joke. We do not gamify meditation. There's no levels.
No.
There's no level. There's no ads to watch in the C app to get, to unlock gold or something.
No.
In-game currency of some kind.
If we did that, we'd be billionaires. Okay?
Yeah.
No, it has happened, and it has always happened to me when I'm feeling especially gratitude. It's just like gratitude. I can think back. This hasn't actually happened to me in recent memory, actually. Not in the past, I don't know, a couple of years. But it has happened numerous times while I'm meditating. I will wind up going like this. And sometimes it's actually, I have a tearful response. I'm just like so grateful. It's just like,
that's interesting.
Here's a way. I'll show you how not to do an orange.
But before you do, let me say this pose, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, we talked about it a little bit last time, because there's people pray like this, they'll pray like this, they'll pray like this, they'll pray like this.
The mudras too, right?
Well, we're not talking mudras. We're I'm talking about Christian.
Oh, okay, Christian.
All Christians.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not going into the East right now. No. So they'll put their hands like clasped.
Yeah.
They'll put their hands like fingers interlocking sometimes, and some people will pray like this.
Right.
The overall opinion, which I really don't think is based on that much evidence, I think it's based on like a few scholars who suppose this, is that this position came from medieval times and came from worshiping a lord or royalty of some kind, and you would do this, and you would go to them like this, and then they would sometimes put their hands over yours. And I'm like, okay, well, if it came from medieval times, and that's when you start seeing a lot of the artwork starts depicting this in Christian artwork.
Yeah.
So like 1500s, 1600s, which is when the praying hands sketch or etching was made. So, but also I'm thinking, well, why were they doing this in the first place?
Right.
Where did this come from?
That had to come from somewhere.
That came from somewhere.
Right.
So they're tracing it back to a medieval origin, which seems to have popped up out of nowhere too. And then they say, well, maybe it came from prisoners of war putting their hands together, showing you could shackle me and not kill me or something. So there's a lot of
the scholars
speculation.
Are idiots. Most of the scholars are idiots when it comes to a lot of this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Okay, especially when it comes to spirituality. If you go and you look up what we're talking about,
right?
Somebody could be listening to this. Well, I'm going to go on Wikipedia or wherever the heck they're going to go. They're going to get all the wrong information. All they're going to get is
on Wikipedia of all places. Have you seen some of the editors of Wikipedia?
I'm sorry, but no. And I don't want to. I'm sorry, but even the churches over the centuries have perverted this into serving their own needs so that they can get people into the church and come to the church and we'll all get God. You know, these, I went to this,
I mean, people get a dose of church.
They get a dose of church.
So, I needed that today. Oh.
Right. If you go, you go in some of these churches and they've got drum kits and they've got guitars and they've got, you know, pianos and, and they got people, you know, hitting tambourines and singing and dancing. And when they're done with that, what do you think they do immediately while everybody's all activated like that?
I'm going to say they pass around the donation.
You're damn right. That's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
High as a kite.
Right.
I'm going to share the glory.
Yeah, that's funny.
I want to get more people in here doing this.
Well, what's really creepy are the ones who ask you for money as an investment. They say you're going to invest in your spirituality by donating $10, $20, $100. And that's going to come back to you in dividends because that's what the Lord demands.
What's the yield on that now?
I don't know.
Yeah, so a lot
probably Kenneth Copland's private jet.
God, that guy.
That's the yield.
Yeah. Did we ever bring him? I don't want to bring him up now. He's too creepy.
Yeah, he is creepy.
But so a lot of this stuff really is a perversion of the original transmission of God's love through someone who's filled with God's love.
Yeah.
That's all. It's a sharing. That's all it is.
Okay.
It's not casting positive energy on anybody.
Well, that's the thing. Is that where do you draw the line between those two? Because one, that last thing you said is very dangerous.
Yes, it is.
This whole like a sorcery type thing.
Right. But it's also inviting people in to say, come on, we're gonna here, I'll show you how not to do an orange.
Okay.
Look at 38. Here's the worst way to do it.
38.
That's not an orange.
Well, I mean, he might just be talking, right?
Yeah, he's talking.
I mean, he might just be going like this. Hey.
No, he's not Jewish.
What are you doing? No, I was thinking Italian. I mean, he might just be talking like this. He might be going, you know, where's the mozzarella?
No, come on.
Okay. I got my Pizza Addict shirt on.
No,
by the way.
this is.
I'm allowed to do that.
This is okay. He's close, but that's not what he's doing. Obviously. Okay. So
you're saying he's doing the orange incorrectly. Why? Because his hands are up.
Yeah, his hands are too far. Yeah, his hands are like this. This is what he's been taught. He's been taught like this. He went to seminary school. They taught him the wrong thing.
I feel like you're going to find
they've been teaching the wrong thing for centuries.
I think
we're talking about the people of the 3rd and 4th century who are actually doing it. There are no more holy men like that who are doing that. There are some.
But I think you might find some ancient depictions in even the catacombs that have people who are kind of up in the air a little, or their hands are a little upturned. No, you don't think so?
No.
So what if we did? Okay, so if we did Priscilla, catacombs of Priscilla.
I'm not telling you this because I looked up the pictures. I know what was going on back then.
I get it.
Okay.
So we got this one here. Let's look at this one. Google has made it so hard to look at images. It used to be so good like 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you're just going to find a picture of somebody in a catacomb doing it wrong and tell me
I'm not.
I'm
going to find, here's Priscilla.
But I'm not.
Here's the fresco. So you think she's doing it right?
She's doing it right.
Okay.
Yeah, her eyes are open.
I think that's right.
Yeah, but it's not a matter of doing it right. She's not like she's not sitting and I'm doing a proper orange. No, she's just sharing love.
I know, but you opened up a picture and we looked at the.
And then we put a name on it and a thing, and then
no. I'm saying we just opened up a picture of a priest, and you commented on his pose.
Right.
So I was asking you to comment on another picture, which is from the catacombs.
This woman, is this Priscilla?
Yeah.
Okay.
I you know what?
Because women can do this. Actually,
I don't know if it is Priscilla.
Well,
might not be. I don't know who it's supposed to be. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not.
Could it be a transgendered prophet?
No.
No.
Aren't they all prophets?
Who?
All the transgenders.
Prophets of doom.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, no. It's like this. It's like this, and it has to be the right person. It can't be anybody. It's got to be someone who has no anger in them, who is free of all resentment and fear, and then God's love comes through them, and you can share it in the room. You communicate that to other people, and it's just sort of helping a little bit. That's all there is to it.
Right.
It's not something you try to do. These holy men, these holy disciples, these Christians, these men of God were actually God conscious. You have no way of knowing if I'm right or not, or looking it up because there's no history of this, but they start like this and they go like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
That's all I wanted to mention. I just wanted to clarify a little bit of that.
Yeah. All right. Let's go back to politics for a minute.
Oh, goody.
Is that all right?
Oh, yes.
Did you see the mineral deal was signed with Ukraine?
Yes, I did.
You did see that?
Yeah.
I think it's basically the same deal that was originally structured.
Well, did you hear what Putin said about it?
No.
Today. I think it was today or last night.
What?
He said, basically, he said, you're cutting a deal with a country that's not going to exist soon.
Oh man, those are some dark words.
Yeah,
that's not friendly language at all. Holy moly. Yeah. So the mineral deal. I mean, we've talked about it before, but basically, Donald Trump's a businessman, right? Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to get involved in these alliances just for the sake of them in Europe, but he wants deals cut,
right? And
he wants an economic partnership that's actually stronger than just some silly statement written and signed somewhere that like we're committed to Ukraine because we hate those Russians. Right. It's like, no, we're gonna help Ukraine because we're gonna invest with them. We're going to share the profits that are made from mining minerals out of their country,
and we're going to get some of the $300 billion that we've already given them back
in terms of
because Europe has given them $100 million or whatever it is, and as a loan.
Right, and we didn't do any loans. We didn't do any loans.
We just threw money at them.
We just gave it away.
Yeah,
right.
So we're going to get it back in commerce. We're going to strengthen that country.
Yeah,
and we'll make money too.
Yep.
As
Scott Bessent says, he wants to show no daylight between Ukraine and the U.S., which I really haven't heard that expression before. But what he means is they're standing together economically, which reflects a U.S. interest that Russia will have to deal with then.
Right.
And hopefully that makes Russia come to the table too. So
they will eventually.
They will.
Yeah.
They will. And the other news is Pierre Poilievre. You know him?
Poilievre?
Yeah, we're talking Canada now.
Oh, is he the new guy?
He was the guy. No, he was potentially going to be the new guy.
Right.
He ran for prime minister.
Right.
He's conservative.
Yeah, he lost. Right, he lost.
Like badly.
Right.
The two theories about why he lost are, one, he didn't embrace Donald Trump when the tariffs came out, or two, it's all Donald Trump's fault because the tariffs caused a sort of rallying in Canada to come together and support the incumbent power, which are liberals.
Right.
So,
we don't want Canada to financially topple the way America is toppling.
So
which is not true.
I can't imagine a more loser mentality, than blaming the leader of another country for you losing the election in your own country.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And what he should have done, what he did do, is he came out with all this fiery speech against Donald Trump. Donald Trump's a bully, that kind of talk, right? Just like liberals do all the time.
Right.
And even in his concession speech, here's what he said in the concession speech.
Oh, I saw part of this.
You did?
Yeah.
Here's just a minute from it here.
He's crazy. I mean, he's totally
the wrong political move.
Oh, absolutely.
Totally wrong about it.
Yeah.
So I would like to congratulate Prime Minister Carney on leading this minority government. We'll have plenty of opportunity to debate and disagree, but tonight we come together as Canadians. We will do our job. Yes, we will do our job to hold the government to account. But first, we congratulate people from all political backgrounds on participating in the democratic process. And as I said, while we will do our constitutional duty of holding government to account and proposing better alternatives, we will always put Canada first as we stare down tariffs and other irresponsible threats from President Trump. Conservatives will work with the Prime Minister and all parties with the common goal of defending Canada's interests and getting a new trade deal that puts...
Why would he call Trump irresponsible there? Even in his concession speech, he's doing the liberal thing of blaming Donald Trump. Right. Now, I don't think he needed to suck up to Trump. That's a mistake too, because he is a Canadian candidate. But like in all cases, many cases, there's a third option. He didn't have to choose one or the other, either call Trump a bully or say he loves Trump. He could honestly do what Donald Trump does in America. He says, these foreign leaders, speaking about Trump, are tough. They do what's best for their country, and the current leadership has let this happen. They let our partnership with the U.S. deteriorate and decay to this level where now we have this tariff war going on, and Trump is trying his best to get to make things work for his country.
Right.
Our leadership isn't. I can fix things. I know how to talk to him. I know how to negotiate with somebody like Donald Trump. We're going to make a big, beautiful deal that will help everybody. If he did that, it would have spoken to people. Because that's the common sense answer.
That's what's stirring people right now all over.
Nobody believes the "we stand up to bullies" line when it comes to Donald Trump.
I know.
Nobody believes it, and you can't take the same position as your opponent and expect to win an election. And that's what he did. He took the same position, that we stand up to bullies thing when it comes to Trump.
It comes down to a very simple truth. We don't need Canada for anything.
You're speaking as an American, yeah.
As an American.
I'm just analyzing the situation.
That is true. They need us for a lot.
They do.
So therefore,
the tariffs hurt them a lot more.
A deal is going to be made.
A deal's going to be made, but he could have been the guy to say, I'll make the deal.
Yeah, he could have been.
Donald Trump's doing what's best for his country, but I know how to deal with it. So
you're saying that's why he lost?
He lost because instead of admitting that Trump is doing what's best for his country, but don't worry, I know how to do what's best for Canada, he came out and just insulted Trump.
Yeah.
He came out and insulted Trump. And the thing is, he's a conservative. Half his voting base likes Donald Trump. And gets why Trump's doing it and wants somebody in power who's competent enough to negotiate with Trump. And all of a sudden, he wasn't that guy anymore because he came out with this insulting language.
Ultimately, it proved how weak he really is. He's a weak leader. Had he been elected, Canada would have a weak PM right now.
He wouldn't have known how to deal with this situation.
That's right.
Yeah, I guess.
That's right.
Well, I think that's the message he sent to people, and that's why they didn't turn out.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
So, anyway.
Okay. Is that it for today?
I think that's it.
I wanted to mention something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I happen to notice that you're wearing the same shirt that I have, that I've worn before
I said I'm wearing my Pizza Addict shirt.
Yeah, your Pizza Addict shirt.
We don't share a T-shirt. They're two separate T-shirts.
Yeah. We got them at the same place though in Queens.
Yeah.
What's the name of the place?
Pizza Garden.
Pizza Garden. And I think that's Flushing, Queens.
It is Flushing.
Yeah, their pizza used to be really good.
It says it on the back. Does it say it on the back?
It says.
Should I advertise Pizza Garden?
Nah, don't advertise.
Nah, I won't.
We don't like them anymore.
Oh, I don't know. We like them.
I don't know.
You know what happened is all of a sudden we went there and I like the people. I like the place.
Yeah.
Always like the pizza.
Yeah.
And I think they started using a press for their pizza dough.
They started cutting corners.
Instead of stretching it out by hand.
Right.
That's what it tastes like. That's what it looks like.
It changes the whole pizza.
It changes the consistency of everything. It's so important. As somebody who makes a lot of pizza, I appreciate that, and I'm getting better at it too.
Yeah, you're getting pretty good.
But do you want pizza for your birthday? It's coming up.
That's not a bad idea. A lot of carbs.
It is a lot of carbs.
We don't do it that often.
Well, think about it. All right.
That's a good idea.
Anyway.
Okay.
That's it?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.